Everything will come out.
Oh, we're live.
Survivor specialists Phil and Alexa are back with another one of our season 39 tell-alls, third one in 3 days. We have Swag Lady at QT Karishma with us. I am now Swag Man Phil. I want everybody to know that Karishma and I did not plan this. This was not meant to be done. I just said to Alexa, I think it would be funny if I came in as Swagman Phil and then Karishma comes in as Swag Lady at QT Karishma. So Tommy has left his everlasting mark on this podcast. If you haven't listened to that one, go check it out. We recorded it last night. But now this is the Karishma Patel show. So we are going to hear all about her game on Survivor Island of the Idols. I feel like this is going to be a much different podcast than what we had last night, because all we heard last night from Tommy was how much everybody loved him during the game. And Karishma, I don't think you had the same experience based on what we saw. Yes, exactly. So this will be an exciting podcast, but one where we have to get to the bottom of why was everybody so hard on Karishma from day one. So.
Why was it so
I'm like, if anybody can clue me in and let me know, I'm all ears. I'm still in the dark about it, but
yeah, I think this is the 6th one we've done, and all we heard was I love Karishma now, but I did not like her on the island. And it's been a running theme. What was the deal? What was it like going out there right at the beginning, and just where did you go wrong?
I've thought about it a lot. I've sort of tried to put the puzzle together and figure it out. And it's so funny. You ask anybody else and everybody's going to have a different answer, and they're skirting around it. Like nobody wants to just like answer the question. We'll change the subject, because at the end of the day, Survivor is the kind of game where you pick a person, you don't like them, and that's who you pick on the whole game. Like it happens every season. Unfortunately, that was me this season. And it was a way people bonded. Like, oh, let's trash Karishma. You agree she sucks. I agree she sucks. We're going to play this game together. It's like
the group think of it. Like one person's into it, everybody hops on it.
Yeah, everyone just hopped on, and it started like morphing into this like unrealistic, ridiculous thing. Like, oh, she doesn't do anything around camp. Well, when was the last time you saw Tommy do anything around? Oh, I guess it doesn't matter. I guess it doesn't matter. So it is what it is. I can't like sit here and like point fingers and blame anyone else. Like I myself, reacted like when somebody just treated me like shit. I treated them like shit back. It's just who I am. It's my personality. I guess it's like I can tell myself as much as I want to that, hey, you're on Survivor. Like you have to put that shit behind you and act differently. You need to kiss ass when you don't want to kiss ass. But lo and behold, I found out I can't. I just can't. Like if you're treating me like dirt, I'm going to treat you like dirt back. And it is what it is. So, I take ownership too. I'm not going to sit here and like point fingers this whole time.
And we were all very impressed, but then it turns out that it was edited this way. When, what was it, Nora said, I'm like the Karishma, but the one everybody likes. It turns out that was edited, and she didn't actually say that to your face, right?
No, she said it.
Oh, she did? Okay.
I thought they played with the camera there.
Let me ask you a question. Did you get that information from Nora?
I don't know where I got that. Maybe.
You know what?
Yeah, no,
you might be right there, Karishma.
It wasn't the first time she said something like that either. But Nora has no idea the words that come out of her mouth. Like 10 minutes later, you'd be like, you could directly quote a Nora quote, and she'll have no recollection of ever saying it.
So, when that was said to you, what I feel silly even asking what that felt like. But at that point, it had been how many days of you just getting pummeled by everybody? Like,
yeah.
Even though you may have like say that you snapped back, like good on you for handling all of that.
That was what, day 31?
That was when it was the split, right?
That was day 31. I think the next day was the immunity challenge.
I think there were
family
visit?
Yeah, the family visit I think was on 30 or 31. I think we had one day, and then the next day was immunity challenge. Anyway, whatever. I was how like you kind of get jaded, you kind of like soften to the blow after a while. By that point, I had heard so much worse than that. And then by that point, it was like, Karishma, you are scum. And I would just been like,
true that.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, just keep going, because it got to the point where it was just accepted. It was okay. Nobody really realized that, okay, this could possibly like hurt somebody. Also, I think it just kind of morphed into this accepted behavior. It was accepted. I also didn't react to it as much towards the end. I just like kind of let it go. And I think people were like, oh, she's okay with this. Let's keep You know what I mean? I wasn't okay with it, but from a game standpoint, I had to figure out how to play with the cards I was dealt, right? The cards I was dealt was like the kind where people could just say shit like that and get away with it. But there's nothing you can do to change that. There's nothing you can do to change that. Like you stick up for yourself, boom, you're out.
Yeah. So let's go back all the way then to the beginning. Like when you actually get out there, what was your plan of, like, you don't know at the time how everybody's going to react to you. You don't know who you're going to get along with. Who were you maybe trying to get in with? Who did you instantly just not click with? What was it like when you just stepped on the beach with everybody?
Yeah. Original Lyro, I think there were two people who I definitely knew I wanted to work with. That was Elizabeth and Aaron. And Aaron and I were in casting together. He was actually the first person I ever saw in casting. I picked the table next to him to sit at to eat dinner that first night. And I just got like really good vibes from Aaron. But I also knew, like being a super fan, when the first stage of the game, when you're doing, tribal challenges, you're not going to get rid of like the big buff guy on your team. He's the one who you need to win these challenges. So if this is the guy who I know is going to stick around, this is the guy I want to align with, right? So I set my eyes on Aaron first. And then I just got really good vibes from Elizabeth, like especially in the pregame, also on like the first day. I got really good vibes from her. She was making a point, like we had some really good conversations. Those were the two people initially I was really, really drawn to.
Okay. Yeah. So that makes sense. And was there anybody that you just did not get along with at all right away?
Okay, well, I'm going to rewind a little bit. Like,
okay,
not get along with right away. Who I did not want to work with from pregame was Elaine, which is so weird.
Really?
Yeah. I had a really wrong take on Elaine. I thought Elaine was down to earth kind of girl. I read her as like snake in the grass, evil, like is gonna like slit your throat and laugh about it, like no sense of humor, whatever. But I read her completely wrong. So she was one person I was like, I do not want to work with her. And I also didn't want to work with Vince. I sort of identified him as like an easy first boot, and I wanted to be in the position where I could like offer him up as, hey guys, like we're thinking Vince, right? What I mean? Just offer him up as, so I wouldn't be the first boot. Those were two I didn't initially want to work with. I mean, things changed obviously during the course, but who didn't I want to work with right away? Tom.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's one of the last people I ever had a conversation with on Lyro. And I remember when I eventually did have a conversation with him, we both pointed out, like, this is weird. It's like day 3 and we're talking for the first time. Like, yeah, this is strange. But Tom and I just never, ever connected. I think just like the kind of person Tom is and the kind of person I am are two people who just don't have like any shared experiences, shared values. And when that happens, you're just not drawn to each other. You're just not going to be able to like connect before you connect with other people. So Tom was somebody that I just could not and would not ever be able to work with.
Yeah. And we didn't see any real like hatred between the two of you, but it was funny how Tom just kept saying, I want to get rid of Karishma. I want to get rid of Karishma. Yeah. And it was fun. That was like all he said in the 12, 15 days, however long he was on.
He said it in front of me.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's where it started.
Here's the thing. He'd say it in front of me. And then by then there were people who were very strongly aligned with Tom, but also loosely aligned with me. So when Tom would start right, like literally in front of me and be like, yo, we're going to have more rice when Karishma's gone. And I'm like, I'm right here.
Yeah.
People would just laugh, and it was kind of like it started to get really accepted early on. I think just little things, like I'm just not as physically strong. And Tom really admired like women who have more physical strength. So we'd be like splitting bamboo, and we were taking turns like on day 1 or day 2 of splitting it. And like we were all going for like 5 minutes at a time. And in the 5 minutes, Elizabeth could get like this much done. Karishma could only get this much done. And he'd be like, all right, well, that was a waste. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I'm sitting there, oh my God, and my shoulders are killing me. I'm sweating, I'm dying, because like I'm clearly not an athlete. I'm trying as hard as I can, and it's not good enough. And I think his values just like are different than mine. I don't think he's used to like accepting people for their like physical limitations ever. And that comes from being captain of like a professional athletic team, and good for him. It was that part of his personality. It got him as far, as he did in his career. But for someone like me to enter his life, it was like, nope.
Well, it's funny. It's funny you say all that because I have an uncle who's around Tom's age who watches the show, but strictly watches it because he knows I do this podcast. You should have went home every single week, according to him. He could not figure out why they were keeping you, but he's the same way. He was a track coach, and he was like, "Why are they keeping the girl who can't do this? Like, you can't fathom other reasons other than physical, pure strength out on the island, which is what Survivor really isn't about anymore."
Exactly.
If you would have played season 10. If you would have played season 10, you would have been the first person out. Like, no doubt about it. But because of what Survivor has evolved into, now you're sitting at final 8. Could have gone even further had Dean and Tommy not been having conversations that got cut short, supposedly. So
I know. And you're right. Like, the game has evolved. That's one of the reasons I was cast. It's one of the reasons I made it so far, that it's not all about your physical strength. It's not all about being able to split the bamboo faster than the next person or going out fishing and catching the most fish. It really isn't. The weirdest thing is I look back at the pre-interviews I did with Wiggler and Mike Bloom out in the jungle. And they asked, like, what's your strategy going in? And my answer was, my strategy is to make whoever I want to be in an alliance with, to make them feel so confident that I'm to be trusted and that I'm with them, that they can go to the next person without me. And they can say, oh, we're voting this way. Karishma's going to vote that way too.
Right.
My strategy going in the game. And then, so this is what, thinking back on like what actually transpired, I think I did it, but I did it so well that I went down that slippery slope.
Yeah.
You hear quotes from like Missy, for example. Oh, I got Karishma in my back pocket. Or you see like Aaron doing something weird, like targeting Dean instead of me. And it's like, oh shit. I made them feel so comfortable with me, but now, unfortunately, instead of being like in an alliance, I'm their goat.
Yeah.
Right.
And it was a slippery slope. Like, it's a hard line to draw.
And it's hard to climb back out of that too.
It's hard to climb back out of there. And so that's in the first 10 days. Like, I think that's what happened is that, and I'll be honest, like, it should have been me. It really should have been me, not first boot. First boot, Ronnie was the right boot. That was the right one to go home. But second, instead of Vince, it should have been me. Instead of Chelsea, it should have been me. It wasn't me because I was able to do that initial strategy so well and make people feel like, okay, you know what? We can't let go of Karishma because we have her vote moving forward. Right. And it got me to the swap.
Yeah, and I was going to say, it's almost like people were looking at it like, you're predictable, so why get rid of you? And that was how I felt about Tom, watching Tom, which is why, like, I get why he gets voted out, but at the time I was like, why would you vote this guy out? He's never going to do anything. And it seems like that's what you convinced people of, which is why probably when you play the Idol later, everybody's like, holy shit, where did that come?
Yeah, you got an awesome reaction to that.
Yeah,
that was a great one.
I wasn't predictable at all.
No.
After the Vince vote, I knew I was flipping on him. I knew that the second I had a chance and I would be able to sort of figure out where this would place me, like, on the board. Every single one of old Lyra was dead to me.
Right.
And meantime, they're dead to me.
Yeah.
They just were. And it was just a combination of a whole bunch of things. But I knew I had to keep convincing them otherwise and making them think like, okay, you know what? Even though it's so fucking obvious, this chick is going to flip on us. Like, she hates us. She doesn't like us. Like, we're talking shit about her to her face and she's just taking blow after blow. How can this like woman not be fed up with it? They still continued to keep me.
Right.
But I was an insurance policy, right? I was always like second.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that's why you're always getting votes. The only tribal council that you like went to early on that you didn't get a vote at was the Ronnie one. Other than that, it was Vince or Karishma, Chelsea or Karishma, Tom or Karishma. It was just always or Karishma.
And so, I have a question about pre-swap, but when you end up swapping and you're with just Dean, like, what are you thinking? Like, is this good because I'm with a ton of old vote guys, or like, oh shit, Dean's gonna like sell me out?
Well, obviously the first initial reaction is I got swap fucked, right?
Yeah.
Because anytime that you're in a minority from your like original tribe, even though I wanted to flip, still being 5-3 is still a shit position to be in, right? All they have to do is just band together and pick the weakest link. You know what I mean? So, a couple days before the swap, like Dean and I, it's weird. Like Dean and I just could never get on the same page. Like we talked, we went off and we talk on our own and have individual conversations. But I think what he expected out of the conversation and what I expected out of the conversation were so fundamentally different that he would leave it being unsatisfied for one reason. I would leave it being unsatisfied for another reason. And unfortunately, we could never see eye to eye. There was one day I remember, it was like a day before the Chelsea vote, 2 days before the Chelsea vote, where he was like, Karishma, I'm throwing your name out there. That's me. I want you out.
I did that.
He's like, I want you out. And I looked at him. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, I'm just letting you know. That's me. Like, you and we ain't working together. Like, I want you out. It's a one-on-one conversation. And I'm just like, all right, let's go back to camp. I'm done. I don't have nothing more to say.
Yeah.
So I was really pissed off that last minute the vote switched to Chelsea. I really wanted it to be Dean. I talked to Aaron about it ad nauseum, how I want Dean out. Like, come on, Aaron, like you have power in this group. I don't have any power, but come on, let's work together. Let's get Dean out of here. When I heard that it was going to be Dean, I was ecstatic. I was so happy. And then like 10 minutes before tribal, I get the whisper, like it's not Dean, it's Chelsea. And I see that it's credible, right? Because people are whispering it without just me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, God damn it. All right. Well, if it isn't Dean, at least it's not me. At least it's, Chelsea. But that's what and the right vote was Dean. The right vote, the correct vote was Dean. Love you, Dean, but it was the right to get you out there, man.
And for you, like, you go to back-to-back tribals getting the second most votes, and the people who go home both had idols. And you didn't know that at the time, like, or did you have any inclination? But if you didn't, like, when you're watching that back, you're like, damn, like, I really did have more than 9 lives in this season.
So I had an inclination about Vince. And I'll share now, the whole getting up and whispering was not for show. During lockdown before tribal, we spent like 2 hours in that tent. I was so much trying to get the girls to vote for Tom because I knew the boys were voting for Karishma, and there's no way that I could have changed it. I tried to change it. There's no way for me to change it. I knew the 3 boys were voting for Tom. I knew it. Or not Tom, Karishma. So I knew that I was getting the second highest votes. And my concern was, I'm about 75% sure Vince has an idol. And if he plays it, I'm gone. But if you vote for Tom, I am free and clear. Now Vince will work with me. Tom will be gone because Tom was just a thorn in my side. Like, Tom will be gone, all of that. So I tried so hard during that lockdown. I got yelled at a lot by the handlers because I would, like, whisper, be like, it's got to be Tom. It's got to be Tom. Like, I know something. It's got to be Tom. That's not, like, nobody was listening to me. Nobody was like, I don't think I was able to get the words out before the handlers like, Karishma, shut up!
Oh my God. That would be terrifying.
So for me, at the end of that tribal council, I thought to myself, okay, listen, the girl, like, we're all voting for Vince. The 3 boys are voting for Karishma. If I have any chance to switch it to Tom to save myself, 100% save myself, I have to take the shot.
Yeah.
And Vince, they didn't show this, but like Vince and I had a longer conversation ahead of time where I made him sure as shit we were voting for Tom. And other people did too. He was pretty convinced. Obviously, he didn't play his idol.
Yeah. And he only had 2 tribals to play it.
Yeah. And so when I got up and like whispered, I don't think that he was even like shook. I think it was just like, maybe he thought it was for show, whatever. I even looked at him like, okay, like it's still whatever. But the girls were just not budging.
Yeah.
And I tried. And that was my Hail Mary. I tried. I do not regret it for even 1 second. A lot of people will be like, oh my God, what an idiot. Like, you never do that, this and that. But that was my Hail Mary because, what if it did work? Then I just did something to 100% save myself, but it didn't work. But Vince also was very confident in Tom.
I mean, and it's tough because if you're trying to sell this, 1, during lockdown, and 2, actually at tribal council, I feel like 98% of the time people walk into tribal council already knowing what they're going to do. So you're already at a disadvantage because you just can't even get the word out.
I couldn't even get the word out. And the problem is like Vince was being shady, but I knew he was with the girls.
Mm-hmm.
I just knew I was in a position to know he was with the girls. And it just sucked that the girls just didn't buy it. They didn't believe it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so who really wanted Tom then? Like who was so close with Tom? I know Elaine has said she was, but who was so close with Tom that like, no, it needs to be Vince. We want Tom, and we'd rather lose Karishma than lose Tom.
So Elaine 100% was Tom's like right hand by that point. Mm-hmm. There was no convincing Elaine to vote Tom. We tried. About 10 minutes before tribal, all the girls were in a circle on the beach. And I brought it up and I looked at her. I'm like, would you ever be willing to vote Tom? And she's like, no. To all the girls right there, like, no, it's just not going to happen. And then Missy had a relationship, like a side relationship with Vince that I knew about because I followed them into the jungle once, like hiding while they were talking for like 3 hours. Mm-hmm. So I knew they were talking for like 3 hours. And I'm like, okay, Missy has a side relationship with Vince. And Missy was like, no, we need to, like, honestly, like, can we trust Vince? I think we can. And we could not come up with an answer before lockdown of whether we can trust Vince or not. Like we just could not even we couldn't have a solid answer. And because there was no answer, it was just defaulted to Vince.
Right.
So there was like an active conversation. So like, I think Aaron also did not want to let go of Tom. I think Aaron was okay with letting go of Vince because he had voted Vince the first vote. And Vince knew that. And Vince very openly was anti-Aaron around camp. Mm-hmm. So Aaron was like, I gotta get this kid out of here. Like he's so openly anti-me. I can't let him spread this. So Aaron was very, very much anti-Vince. Like he would have gotten rid of Vince and sacrificed me. And Dean was very, very much like, let's just get rid of Karishma. We're never gonna have a conversation where we click. So I want to get her out before she can maybe poison somebody else's mind. Mm-hmm. And I think that was enough. It was like Tom, Elaine, Dean, Aaron. That was enough. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there you go. So that's how you get through. But there's one time where you easily could have went home. And then the next time, why was Chelsea so convinced that it was not going to be her? I know you said it was like last second, everybody's whispering, but for somebody who was like such a big fan like Chelsea was, who was she super close with that made it just seem like there's no way in hell they would ever vote me out?
I felt really bad about the Chelsea vote, but I was also like part of me, if I was going to let go of anybody besides Dean and Tom, mm-hmm. it was probably third in line was Chelsea, to be honest. So Chelsea had a side alliance with her, Dean, Missy, Elizabeth, and Aaron. I didn't know about the side alliance, but I knew they were real tight. I knew Chelsea, Missy, and Elizabeth were really tight. I made the mistake of calling the three of them a sorority at a tribal council. Even though they knew I was going to do that, that was all for show. We kind of practiced. Mm-hmm. We did practice the whole, oh, woe is me, Karishma act. But still, like, I think people forget all of that and they take tribal council for face value. So at that point, like I consider the three of them really close, even though I guess now I know they weren't. And then Chelsea was close with Dean. There was no showmance. There really wasn't. Yeah. They were not like romantically inclined in any way whatsoever, but I have to own up to it. That first and second nights where we slept, it was like Vince, me, and then like I think there was a point in time where Chelsea asked me to move over away from Dean so she could slide in there, and I used that.
Yeah.
I figured it out. Like when there's an open conversation about whether they're in a showmance and anybody see anything, I was like, guys, like while we were sleeping, just so you know, Chelsea asked me to move over. She could have easily like slept to my left, but she asked me to move over. She could sleep to my right so she could be next to Dean. And that was fact, right? But I let that harmless fact like go into people's heads and then maybe like flame up a little bit. Yeah. And I didn't think it was going to get her home. I was just trying to maybe light some fires that were away from me.
Yeah.
And it worked.
And now everybody in the community thinks that Chelsea went home because of a showmance.
Yeah.
And thanks,
Way to ruin
Karishma.
that.
You ruined Chelsea. Dang.
She did not. She was a great player. People really saw that in her. And I think it was just one of those things where I don't think she was as close as other people were to each other. She was kind of that person who was like friendly with everybody, but then there was people getting closer and closer on the sides, and she kind of was skirting that middle.
And the person she gets really close with normally on any normal season is somebody who's probably getting along with everybody in Dean. But that just wasn't the case on this season. People were actually like, he was on the outskirts right from the beginning, which is very interesting because if I'm Chelsea, I probably go to Dean too, because that's a kind of guy who always is in the majority alliance to start off the game.
Exactly. And she's a smart girl, man. She is a smart girl. I've gotten to know her even after the show, and I really do admire her intelligence and tenacity. But the thing is like right place, right time. Chelsea was not.
Yeah. That happens.
Yeah.
That happens. So then,
Yeah.
Go ahead, Alexa. You have something.
You can see my Wine Glass Survivor logo.
Oh,
now.
there
it
wow,
is.
that went down fast. Well, before we move on to the swap, which I think Phil was about to do,
Cool.
talk to us about slicing your hand open.
Oh, sucked. All right. So this right here, this hand, I'm gonna take my ring off.
Yeah.
I can't feel this right now. This
Oh my God.
is gone. Doctors have told me it's permanent because I clipped the tendon. It's gone. There's a little scar in there.
God.
So it was
Whoa.
it was just stupid. I was using a knife. I was holding a coconut. I was trying to get the white meat out, which is like impossible to do. I was trying to get it out, and it went through the coconut. It went right through the webbing.
Oh.
And I'm like in crisis. I naturally just get super calm, like super calm. I've had a couple crisis situations in my life where I've just somehow turned into this like really calm, methodical, organized person. So I didn't scream. I didn't like react in a way a person whose knife touched the bone would like react.
Yeah.
I opened my fingers. I looked in, the blood hadn't rushed in there yet. So I could see the white and I could see something like hanging, which was now I know.
Ugh.
And I closed the fingers to keep it from gushing. And I'm like, I just saw the bone. I think this is pretty serious. I'm going to get up now, like real slowly. And they're like, yeah, go call the docs. I'm like, okay. So I start walking over, and suddenly, like, I don't know what I do. I open the fingers up, and that's the worst thing I ever did. Because as soon as I open it, it starts squirting.
Oh God.
And I faint at the sight of blood. So like, and it was also pain doesn't get to your extremities until a little bit later. Like the pain had now finally like reached to the point where I could feel it. And so I started getting like woozy and dizzy, and I was like pointing it out. I get to the ground, and I'm down on the ground, and I know the cameramen are around me, but I don't care about the cameraman. But I look to the left, and I can listen. It's real quiet. But the conversation that was going on before this happened is still going on. And it's something silly.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, when I stopped paying attention. I just stopped paying attention. I was like, I need to take care of myself now. And I put my head down and let myself faint. And next thing I know, like I look up, and Missy and Elizabeth they weren't there when it happened. They were away somewhere, but they walked right by me and went and sat down. And like, I think I was just, from that first moment where I looked to the left and the conversation was what it was before I did it, like my heart broke. It broke. Like, I don't know why a mature adult lets their heart break like that. But it broke. And to me, like I came to find out that it was a combination of me not making a big deal of it, like a giant reaction where they thought it just wasn't serious. There's been some kind of like talk about production telling people not to come to me. I don't have that perception. It may be true, it may not. I didn't see that, so I can't speak to that. But what I did see was that conversation to my left. And I remember that like light bulb memory. I forget a lot of shit that happened in this game, but that moment I remember, like I can bring that moment back like that, because that's the moment my heart broke. It's not something to feel sorry for me about. It's sort of an acknowledgement of where I had come. I think it happened on day 7. It's an acknowledgement of, me not being like where I really wanted to be by day 7, and people who I would have ran to, not running to me. And that's like a tough pill to swallow, right? Knowing that you're willing to do something for somebody who's just not willing to do it for you or be there for you. And it just like, it broke my heart, but it's a game. It's not real life. It's not reality. I've had conversations with everybody who was there, and, they've owned up, and some of them have even been like, look, we would have came to you, production told us not to. And others were like, look, Karishma, you were on the bottom. Like if I checked up on you, if I checked up on you, then my name would have been thrown out there. And I can't.
That's tough.
Now, Elaine is in the chat. Did she come and check on you?
She's saying she came to check on you.
Elaine wasn't even there when it happened. She showed up afterwards, but she wasn't there when it happened. I think the edit made it look like she was like eating rice when it was happening, but I don't think she was at camp when that happened.
And that's
Yeah,
exactly
when I
what you
came
just
back
said.
to
So
camp.
that's funny because that's what Elaine
All right,
just
stories align there at least.
said. Stories align. All right, Elaine, we can trust you again.
Yeah.
I'm not making anybody out to be a monster, right? Everybody has reasons for behaving the way they did. And in Survivor, like, it's hard. It's like, it's not like the definition of monster is totally different. We here in the real world, like, we know what a monster is, but in Survivor, like, you're under new rules, you're on a different planet. It's different. I'm not like holding any grudges for that. I just know what it feels like. Now I know, like, that break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It hurts, man. It hurts.
Yeah.
And especially for it to get to the point where, like, if somebody were to care about you, that would put them in a position to get voted out. Like, that's how effed up this game is. Like, that's tough.
And it's the reality of the game, right? I can't blame people for feeling that way. Like, perhaps is my own behavior that put me there. Like, I can't sit here and point fingers and say, "Oh, you're an asshole," or "You're a fucking monster for treating me that way." Like, I'm a human. At the same time, it's like, yeah, you know what? If somebody would have ran to me, yeah, they probably would have been on the chopping block.
That's so crazy.
Awful.
Any reason to target somebody is a reason to target somebody. You know, it is what it is. I just put a shield. At that point, I was just like, that's it.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
Done.
That's gonna be our photo for this tell-all. We're just gonna make that the main thing.
Yeah, fuck that.
Karishma just flipping off everybody. I love that.
It's like the sugar with her top off, just like the triple blur.
Yeah. Sure, man. She's a
Yeah.
boss girl, that girl. Oh.
And all right, so now we get to this swap. You end up you're in the wrong side of the numbers,
Mhm.
but because of how the game had gone for you up to this point, I feel like the swap probably was great for you because you can say very openly, I'll never work with these people. And we see what ends up getting Tom voted out is he's like, my people are over there. I can't wait to get back to them.
Exactly. That's exactly what happened. Like, when I got to that swap, initial gut reaction was like, holy shit. And then, unfortunately, but also this is like entirely my fault, I fucked up that challenge, right?
Yeah.
That sand challenge, that was like one of the worst moments of my entire life. Like, I totally screwed that challenge. I thought long limbs, I'm going to be able to slither, whatever. Like, I had confidence in my body. And when I hit that sand, my body just would not move. My head was like 10 feet ahead. I was there. My mind was there. My mind never stopped. But what the hell is wrong with me? Like, what?
Yeah.
And then I made the mistake, like, I turned on my side. And when I turned on my side, the rope got stuck, and then I got stuck. Like, there was no way getting the rope in a way where I could have gotten back on my stomach. So anyway, I'm starting off like really shitty, right?
Mhm.
Really
Yeah.
shitty.
But that's one of those challenges that like so many people can sit on the couch and be like, I don't get it. Why can't they figure it out? But that looks
Also, go do
incredibly
that on your
difficult.
beach and tell me
Yeah,
how
like
good that
go
goes.
try doing
No,
that. Yeah, that looks awful.
Every single person who was in that challenge will tell you that challenge was exponentially more difficult than they ever thought it would be.
Uh-huh.
And here's the thing, if you rewind and you watch back, I think there's some fancy editing, but Aaron and Jason were more than halfway down their puzzle before I even started.
Oh,
So
wow.
I could have even been right there like a rock star and gotten the end. There's no way we were going to win it anyway.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Not an excuse. It was not an excuse. I did shitty in that challenge. I know I did shitty in the challenge. It is what it is, but I'm not the reason we lost.
Was that the Applebee's challenge?
Excuse, yeah.
Oh, that must have been even worse.
I know. And it's like any reason to like put someone down, use it.
Yeah.
If a second person joins you in that sentiment, you now have something to talk to with someone and an opportunity to connect on that level at this other person's detriment, right? Who cares about this person, which is me. But any reason to talk down about somebody could be a positive, could be like, a strength in the game. And so me performing as poorly as I did in that challenge, even though I wasn't the reason we lost, I really wasn't. It's still, I did perform poorly, objectively. And that was a target of discussion. That was something people really wanted to talk about.
Mhm.
So that ends up being the Applebee's challenge, which as we all know, was devastating to you. I want
We
to
have
call
to talk
out
about
Jordan Mays here, and I want to throw this up here because this was made because of you,
Oh,
Karishma.
so good.
We had this. I don't know if you saw this. I don't know if you saw this on Reddit, but it was the first time probably in the history of Survivor Reddit that everybody 100% agreed on something. And it was this. When Karishma says Applebee's, for anybody who's just listening, it's the meme of everyone when Karishma says Applebee's is her favorite sit-down restaurant, and it's Kelly, Lauren, David, and Rick staring down, and it just says, God, this is awful. So that was made by Jordan Mays.
That was your big time, that was like the kickoff of you becoming the meme of this season. I mean, that was just crazy. So tell us about it. I've never been to an Applebee's. Tell me about it.
Really?
Never. I work across the street from one, and I have yet to walk in.
I think we know where we're going to dinner tomorrow.
Oh, that's what I said to Tommy. I said, would Jason, was it Tommy I said this to, or maybe it was Dean? Would Jason walk into an Applebee's? Be honest.
Jason?
Yeah.
He
looked like he was going to vom after the shark ball.
He's a little princess. Jason likes this restaurant called Hillstone.
Oh, yeah. It's not Applebee's.
Fancy. That's Jason's favorite restaurant. It's in New York. I don't know. I don't know if he'd like wear a mask and walk in like a hoodie and like glasses.
He's got to wear like the flu mask so that he doesn't get sick when he walks in. Yeah.
Applebee's thing. There's a story behind it, right? I have a really and I'm sticking to it. Like, it's not my favorite sit-down restaurant. Let's be real. But I do have like a special place in my heart for Applebee's because I used to live across the street from one when I was in law school in Philadelphia. And it was the only place that was like super open, super late. And they came out with this like dessert and I'm a girl, right? So I'm always on a freaking diet. Not I'm a girl, but like me personally as Karishma, I'm always on a diet. It's just who I am. I'm eating freaking radishes and greens.
Yeah, that's a sad dinner you got right there.
So anyway, like during law school especially, they came out with these dessert shooters where they'll do dessert in like a double. It was like a perfect amount of dessert to get you through whatever. You're not eating like a giant piece of cake. So I got to know one of the bartenders there really well. And I would just in the middle of studying, go over there. And I used to wear these fuzzy slippers all the time, these little black cats. And they were my favorite fuzzy slippers. I'd go over there in my pajamas, my fuzzy slippers. I'd bring my binder with me, my highlighter with me. I'd sit at the bar and I'd keep studying. And they'd give me like a sampler, like a sampler of the dessert shooters. And it became sort of like my comfort place at like midnight, 1 a.m. when I knew I was going to be up all night studying or whatever. And to me, like that's my Applebee's experience, and I loved it. So fast forward, however many years, like 13 years after, 15 years after that, and I'm in Survivor, and I see Applebee's, and it's like Applebee's is my favorite. It's my favorite. Well, I love Applebee's. That's my reaction.
And that was the point in the season where everyone on the internet decided that they hated you. And so I love that you followed up and you were like, guys, I actually spent a lot of time at Apple. It's like, I actually have done this.
And I was a big defender because like being from a small town, we would always go for half price appetizers after 10. And then when I was doing my first semester, which was just a year and a half ago of grad school, every time I didn't want to sit in LA traffic to drive home. Everything in LA is so expensive. They now have half price appetizers pretty much all day.
That's
and I would just
eat for $12.
For $12. And I would just go to Applebee's. I'd sit at the bar. I'd watch whatever sport was on TV. And I would wait for traffic to die down before I drove back. And I'd spend like $15 and I was full. And so I was like completely defending you. When I saw the reaction, I was like, okay, look, I know people don't like Applebee's, but yikes.
Like, geez.
And like, I speak in superlatives. Like, that's just who I am. You know,
you're on Survivor, you're supposed to. Remember, Coach said Jack and Jill was a great movie.
And they're the sponsor. Like, you have to blow them up.
I was at the point where I would have eaten dirt. I would have eaten dirt. And when they're talking to me about like artichoke dip, I'm just like, you're my favorite. I love you.
Yeah.
Like, I would have done anything for them.
But then you don't win it. But then you lose it. Oh, that must have been so tough.
I was used to winning.
Have you? Yeah. So has Applebee's contacted you for any sponsorship opportunities? Oh my God. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. I can't talk too much about it, but they sent me like the certificates. So we're talking about like commercials and stuff. They're awesome.
Do they want to sponsor the Survivor Specialist? Because we would love to have Applebee's as the sponsor. Well, I can talk up Applebee's.
Right, we'll go to Applebee's tomorrow.
Because we don't want to talk too much about Applebee's, but like the day after that episode aired, my husband and I went there for dinner.
Yeah, it's great.
And we ordered the exact items that were part of that. And I made it a point, literally, I told my husband, we're not leaving here until I'm done every single morsel on every single plate. I'm going to finish all of this because like I didn't get it then, motherfucker, I got it now.
Oh my God, that's so good.
I had like 4 shark bowls. Yeah, it was awesome.
I love that. I love that.
Four
So that's there you
shark
go.
bowls. Oh my Lord.
And what do you mean we don't want to talk too much about Applebee's? That was the whole chat the entire
That's the
time.
I am here to talk about Applebee's.
We could do another hour and 20 minutes of Applebee's if you
Their
really
double
want.
crunch wings are so good.
They're good.
I eat a lot of wings. I eat wings at least once a week, if not twice a week. I love wings.
Yep.
Their double crunch wings are legit. They're good.
Wow.
And people always say like, oh, they microwave their food. It's like, I don't care.
They probably do.
I microwave my food all the time.
Does.
Yeah.
Wow. I was not hungry before, but I am freaking starving.
They're actually double crunchy. They're so good.
All right. Tomorrow night, Applebee's. Done.
I'm going to continue eating my radish.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So talk to us about the vibe on New Lyro, other than you and Dean hitting each other.
New Lyra was my favorite.
Okay.
Survivor. It was my favorite period of time on Survivor between days like I think 11 and 20. I really liked the New Vokai people. I genuinely liked them, and I genuinely felt like we were able to create some kind of a relationship that I was just never able to create with original Lyra. I made it a point coming into that, like, look, I'm going to be super relatable. I'm going to try to be vulnerable. I'm going to try to be more vulnerable because I realized what I was doing towards the end after the injury, day 7 to 10. I put a wall up.
Yeah.
I just put a wall up. Like I was just like security blanket, wall up. Like I was like not letting anyone in because I was hurt, stupid. You know, I should have known better, but it just happened. So when I got to the new tribe, New Lyro, like I made it a point, like, look, I'm going to let people in. I'm going to let them in. But unfortunately, I let the wall up and like all like waterfalls and like crazy shit comes out. But, you know, it worked to the better because New Lyro had Janet, who was very, very motherly. And I made it a point to try to figure out what each of these 5 people value, right? So Janet valued teaching people. She valued taking someone under their wing, like somebody younger, and making them feel accomplished. So I let Janet teach me how to tend to the fire. It was like also very valuable for me because I needed to learn that, right? I used to get yelled at on old Lyro all the time for fucking up the fire. Like they were just yelling at me. And it's like, I'm sorry, I don't know how to do this. I'm trying my best. So like Janet was teaching me how to do that. And it was really sweet that we'd have like little moments there where I was able to keep the fire going for like an hour. And she's like, look, see, you are capable of more than you thought. And Janet and I would connect on that level. And like Jack and I would have a lot of like talk about like connecting with the heart. He's a very like altruistic person. And you don't see that. Like you just see like long hair, Tarzan, whatever, but that's not who he is. Like Jack is so much deeper than that. I was able to peel the layers and see that this is like a kid who's going to like dedicate his life to like helping others. And I saw that in him, and I was able to, because I saw that in him, I think he valued the fact that I saw that in him, because I think Jack did not want to be misunderstood, or didn't want his first impression to just be like this like hippie kid with long hair. That's not who he is at all, you know. Jack,
and I thought that
person.
Yeah, and I thought that was like really when we started to see the real you. And then of course, like because it's a reality TV show, you're still always going to be like evil. But that's when we started to see the real you. And like because I said this to Dean, it's like when you're always playing from behind, it's hard to play from, really make your own moves and stuff. And when you're always at the bottom, it's hard to really show who you truly are. And I feel like that's when we first started to see it, when you, Janet, and Jack were having that conversation. And then of course everybody was like, well, why are we talking about Karishma and her husband? Oh my God. But it was,
Well, let me set that up and let you guys know like what was going on. Like we were talking about really like intimate things. And Janet was talking about intimate things. Jack was talking about intimate things. And I'm just going to come out and say, it's going to make me sound like a complete bitch, and people are going to hate me for saying this, but it's my truth, so I'm going to say it. I have not struggled very much in life. I've been very, very blessed. I've been very lucky. Thank you, whoever. Like I'm up to 38. If I can continue this way to the end, like somebody cares about me somewhere. I don't know, the universe. My biggest struggle in life was this pressure to get married. Right. That's probably been my biggest struggle. that my parents feeling like I was burdening them with this responsibility they had to get me married. And so when they introduced me many, many, many times in my 20s to these like perfectly fine guys whose parents were on board, guys were on board, they were willing to marry me. And I would be like, no, like, I don't want this. My parents were like, you are the problem. Like, you are the issue. Like, there's multiple guys who are saying yes to you. What is wrong with you that you just keep saying no? We don't understand what's wrong. And then the other way too, like if a guy would just meet me and then tell his parents, no, I don't want to see her again. Because that's how it works, right? You meet for the first time and then you tell your parents how you feel. You tell your parents on the second date or not.
Yep.
Parents tell each other and then exchange notes. So it would be like, again, if a guy says no to me, what's wrong with you? Why is this guy saying no to you? So the common denominator is what's wrong with you. And that's been that always was my biggest struggle. I still hold the scars from that. It's something I'm going to hold forever, right? So when we were sharing really intimate things and struggles in life and what you're really like, what you're holding on to, what scarred you, that was my scar. And I brought up the relationship with my husband, not to like point out that was a scar, that we weren't any kind of a semblance of arranged marriage. I brought it up because I had to bring up something.
Yeah.
I had to bring up something that was important enough of a struggle for them to be like, wow, this girl just shared something really deep. Like, she trusts us.
Yeah.
Right? She trusts us. We've got her. So we need to let go of Tom and Dean before we let go of her. Like, I knew I had to do that. I didn't think for a million years it would ever reach air. I really didn't. I even had a conversation with production about it, and they were like, "Don't worry, that shit is not reaching air. Like, we're not in the business of like hurting people's relationships back home."
LOL.
So,
Yeah, that worked out.
that episode comes down, like they show, like, I swap, fucked, sand challenge, and then that was like.
And you love Applebee's? What is going on with you, Karishma? Well,
so
no,
like it was sort of like cut up. It was sort of like a purposeful attempt to sort of be vulnerable. At the end of the day, I don't regret it because it really did ingratiate me into that Vokai camp, right? And, Kelly and I stayed up all night one night talking, and I really did adore her. I really wanted to work with her moving forward. She was somebody I really liked in pregame as well. Jamal and I had like a separate type of connection. We had these weird things in common that nobody would ever think that we had in common. Like, both of us are huge craps players. Jamal,
I love craps.
Like,
whoa, Karishma.
If we go to a casino, we are both at a craps table for like 12 hours. Like, that's me and Jamal.
Wow.
That's our thing. We just got along, you know what I mean? And so I got along with these new Vokai people in a way I couldn't find anything in common with Old Lyro. And I felt really good about that. I don't think I ever felt like I was on the chopping block. I really didn't. I knew it was going to be like Tom or Dean before me. I did. And and that's why I can say that was my favorite time playing the game. It was the first time I felt like I was playing the game.
Well, we're going to play craps one day together because I love craps.
No.
Craps is awesome.
I played, so when South Carolina played Gonzaga in the Final Four, I played craps in Vegas for the entire time that game was on. And I think I walked out of there up like $10, but I played for 2.5 freaking hours.
The whole time.
So fun.
It was amazing. And it's like, here's your $1 beverage.
Yeah, and it's so fun. To me, I just have such a blast. And then Jamal and I actually had an opportunity to play together for at least an hour. It might have been 2 hours. I don't know. But we played together, and he went on a roll. He won us both a lot of money. It was good.
Yeah, that's great.
That's awesome.
Well, now, how did your husband react to this? Because I met your husband at the finale. One of my favorite people I met at the finale.
Isn't he?
Amazing. I mean, Carl talked him up so much. I was like, he ain't going to live up to those expectations.
Carl
but he was
her
great.
ultimate hype man this season.
Carl is one of my best friends now.
He's the best.
He's somebody who I like genuinely really care about, like aside from Survivor. You know what I mean? Like, forget Survivor. This is somebody who, as a human, is just such an awesome person.
He's
so
great.
I feel like, Survivor gave me a lot of slaps in the face, but man, none of them matter because I got to meet some amazing people, and I have like Carl in my life now. He's such a cool cat. And Carl's got to hang out. Carl's hung out with my husband. We went without Carl, Nick, and my husband went out partying one night without
you.
Yeah.
Nick Wilson, yeah. They all went out partying one night without me. It was,
That's amazing.
That's so funny. But how did your husband react to that episode? Like, was he just like,
Yeah.
And did you come home and say like, okay, they probably won't air this, but in case they do, this went down, or did you like think you're in the clear?
So like very loosely, we had a conversation. Like, look, there's, we're out there. I have to say what I have to say. And yeah, we did talk. I did talk about marriage. I did like say this and this, whatever. I don't think they're gonna air it. Literally like 5-minute conversation way back in May, and that's it. Never touched it again because I really, really felt like confident. And just so you guys know, like even during pregame, I met with Jeff, I met with Matt Van Wagenen during pregame, and I asked them very specifically, like, look, like I've been very open with y'all, and we've talked about like my situation where like, I'm turning 38, like this and that, like I want to have, like, do I want to have kids, this and that. Just don't mention any of that, please. Like I want to play the game. I want my game to be highlighted. I don't want like my personal life to be dragged into it. And they were like, yeah, no, we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
So I didn't, it was, I remember that moment too. We were eating Taco Bell in the living room, just me and him. And I was already crying because the sand challenge had happened. So I was already like in tears, eating a bean burrito, like in tears, like I do.
You're the first person to ever cry eating Taco Bell. Okay.
Yeah, I'm usually happy.
Multitude of emotions going on. Like the ultimate sadness, but also like the ultimate satisfaction of eating a bean burrito. But anyway, it just came out of nowhere. It was unexpected. And it took a little time. You know what I mean? It just takes a little time. It's fine. Like now we're at the point where it's completely understood, like why it happened, what had happened. Doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
It was in a game. It was edited. We even saw like some of the even words were like edited a little bit in that statement. Not a big deal. But hey, you know what? Janet and Jack felt closer to me after that conversation. And thank God for that, because they both felt 100% we are not losing Karishma.
Yeah. Which is great. I mean, that's awesome that it worked out for you like that. And now we get into when Jack does get the boot. So you guys actually win a challenge, which none of us thought you were going to do. Nobody thought that tribe was winning a challenge. You win the challenge. And so, Jason goes home. You're probably excited about that. It's like, oh, we might get numbers on our side.
So happy.
And then there's this insane tribal right before the merge where Kelly plays the idol for Dean, but you guys don't know. You just think it's Dean playing it for Dean. Jack gets votes. This is one of the only tribal councils you went to, Karishma. You set the record with 22 votes against.
Thank you very much.
This was one of the only ones you didn't get any votes at. What was going on during that day? That was just like maybe off to you, because you did end up voting for Dean.
Well, the last of y'all didn't see. So me, Kelly, and Nora were in this like all Asian women alliance. We're working together. And Kelly comes up to me like an hour before tribal, 2 hours before tribal, whatever. And she's like, I'm getting called on a confessional, but I need you to go tell Nora to vote for Jack tonight. I'm like, wait, what the fuck? Where is this coming from? I'm like, what's happening? We're voting for Dean. She's like, listen, what if Dean found an idol? And I'm like, look, I've been watching him. Like, I follow people through the jungle. I've been following him around. He doesn't even know it. Did not find an idol. I know he did not. I followed him while he was looking for an idol. So another thing,
you're creeping on people a lot.
Side note, I looked for the idol, could never find the idol, and it pissed me off that I couldn't find it. So I switched my strategy to now follow people.
Smart.
So if I can't find it, at least I can watch people find it. I watched Kelly find her first one.
Really?
Yeah, I watched her find it from the bushes. I watched her find it across the way.
Oh, that would have been so
Yeah. So anyway, I wasn't 100%, but I was like 90% sure, because she suddenly like jumped and then started walking away, and the cameras were rushing around her. You kind of know something's going on by the way the like cameramen react.
Yeah.
So anyway, back to what we were talking about. I go to Nora on Kelly's instruction. I'm the one who communicates the message to Nora to vote for Jack, not Kelly. Kelly never once communicated that to Nora. She did it through me. Kudos to Kelly. Very smart. So the night after, she would have that true statement, like, I never talked to Nora. Nora, I never talked to you. I mean, it didn't work, but you see what she was trying to do. Yeah. She was trying to use me as a conduit. So I talked to Nora. I was like, listen, Nora, me, you, and Kelly are in an alliance. I don't want to lose you. Problem is, Dean's voting for you. Voting for you. If he plays an idol, you're the one who goes home, because all the votes will be on Dean. Dean plays an idol. They're all nullified. You go home. So in order to protect yourself, how about you force a tie? Force a tie. And let me tell you how this tie is going to go your way. Kelly will break the tie, and she'll break it by keeping you and letting go of Jack. Boom. Yeah. So Nora was like super confused. It took like an hour and a half or whatever to like explain to her. Anyway, but she agreed to do it. I had no idea what Kelly was masterminding behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I had no clue. So when it happened, like when I gave that confessional where I was holding Dean's name, it's like, you took 3 strikes, you took 3 swings at me. I'm hitting you.
Yeah.
I really, honestly, 99.9% was sure Dean was going home. And I was so happy. I was so happy. I was like, please, he is poisoning everybody. Like, with Karishma. Like, let's just get him out of here. Finally, we get Tom out of here. We get Dean out of here. I can finally like relax. I had no idea. I was legitimately very shocked. Very shocked. And the reason that I said stay dry, sweetheart, and funny thing, another thing I have to mention is, I didn't know this about myself. I realized it while I was on Survivor. I am not a touchy-feely person. I thought I was. Like, I thought I was like an affectionate person. I thought I'm like a touchy person. I realized on Survivor that I'm not. I realized that like I like to suffer in silence and solitude. Like I don't like people around me. For some reason, when it like rained like crazy, the only person I would like sleep next to was Dean. I have no idea why. To this day, I have no idea why.
He's a cuddle bug.
Yeah, but like he's the only one I felt like I hated him.
Little Spoon Dean, right? That was him.
Little Spoon Dean.
Like I forget he's Dean. But it's like it's the only person that I wanted to wake up. Like I was holding his hand, waking up. Mm-hmm. He was giving me that comfort I needed when I was like suffering with my head under the basket and flies on my face. Like they showed it. He was the only one that I wanted with me. Isn't that weird? Isn't that creepy? It's creepy.
It's weird. Yeah. I mean,
because it's like maybe because we played every day together at that point or something. I don't know.
Who knows?
That's why I said my sweetheart, because we were keeping each other dry.
That's cute. Yeah. And you had a rat run across your face too.
That happened later. That was like night 24 or night 25.
Yeah, that was later. You're right. That was
and I felt horrifying. So bad. And that was the one moment that I got a glimpse of evil Tommy. If Tommy's still lurking, I have to let him know.
He probably is.
I was sleeping in the the merge shelter. I could hear him underneath me. That's fine. Like I had my head down. Everyone can hear him under you. And suddenly one came up. I felt it on my shoulder. Oh. I didn't move when I felt it on my shoulder because I'm like, I can just nudge it off, whatever. But it leaped from my shoulder to my face. Its talon went in my mouth, and its talon came out of my mouth and slit my lip a little bit, and then jumped off, whatever. But my reaction was, you jump. Like when that happens, you jump. But like Tommy was next to me, so when I jumped onto Tommy. Mm-hmm. And Tommy, like, what the fuck? Like he's shit. And this is so uncharacteristic for Tommy because Tommy is like such a nice guy. He's very like warm and understanding of other people's. Like Tommy was not having it.
Wow.
What the fuck, Karishma?
Yo.
He was pissed, and that's why I think they showed me being like, "I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm sorry, everybody." Because Tommy and like I can't believe because he was snoring, like he was sleeping. Imagine being woken up by like somebody just jumping on you, right? Like,
yeah,
no idea. But that just like sucked because I knew that even though that was a proper human reaction, like.
Did you see that, Karishma?
Am I screaming? This is what I do.
R.I.P. headphone users. That was when you were screaming.
What the? Wow.
Sorry.
No, that's good. Hey, wake everybody up. When you're talking about Tom, you got to wake them up.
And it was still like, oh, Karishma was just complaining. It's like, hello.
You had a rat in your mouth.
A rat jumped in my fucking mouth. Its talon was in my mouth.
I'm really mad, though, that we forgot to ask Tommy this yesterday. And I know you weren't on his tribe, but wasn't Tommy having like the night terror when Vince went into camp?
That's what I was going to say. Maybe he has like a sleeping complex.
And you're just ruining, you just like really like scared the crap out of him.
No, Alexa, let's fuck with him tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. I don't know what we're going to do, but there's enough subway rats in New York. We'll make something happen.
Oh, there's plenty. You guys will find them.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Check on that.
Pizza rats everywhere.
Yeah.
Sorry, sincerely sorry, headphone users.
Oh no, that was unbelievable.
It'll work.
I have a volume problem, so
it is totally fine. So we get to
condition.
Oh, you are moving.
I'm drinking seltzer.
We just made the merge. Like we gotta refill that.
Yeah, that's true.
Drew, honey, but can you get me more wine, please, honey?
Drew's allowed to make an appearance too if he wants.
Oh yeah, tell him come on.
Drew, can you come and say hi, honey? Put some clothes on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That'd probably be good too.
Where's
This was a family-friendly podcast until Karishma just said, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, exactly. And now here comes her husband naked. But anyway.
Just a little Superman boxer briefs. But anyway, yeah, that ratchet up in my mouth sucked.
Yeah.
But what sucked more was overhearing conversations the next day complaining about me.
Yeah.
As if it wasn't like the same way you would have reacted. But that's Survivor.
Yeah.
Survivor. Like there is no, you know?
Yeah. And I'm definitely bouncing around here, but because I forget which episode this was, but the one where this is like your best one, where you are just like not doing anything. You end up finding the idol and you're like, I don't feel well. And everyone's like, well, go to medical. Like now it's like, okay, now they're telling you.
There's like a preface to that too. So in the days leading up to that, one thing I was really good at was following people and listening. Like I would listen. People don't realize how loud they are. Hey, me too. But anyway, realize how loud when they're talking to each other, and that I can hear you. Like I can hear, but I'm not going to be like, I can hear you. I'm going to sit there and pretend like I don't hear you because that's what you do, right?
Yeah.
People were saying, hey, let's steal her rice so she can't eat because she's already weak. Mm-hmm. And by that point, so you guys know, if anybody's like watching really closely, you'll identify the fact that I have eaten the least of anyone else still playing in the game. Mm-hmm. I have not been on any rewards. I've not won anything. I haven't gotten any additional food. They aired a reward, or we played a reward that wasn't on air, where Dean won a burger barbecue or whatever. So Dean got a burger barbecue. Mm-hmm. I was still without any food at all. Yeah. So I, hadn't ever gotten that refill from the beginning. I never got a refill. And so people were saying, listen, maybe she'll faint and Dr. Joe will come and pull her. Wouldn't that be great?
Wouldn't that be huge?
Yeah. Or I had an infection going on that I was on antibiotics for, but the antibiotics don't work if you don't have food in your stomach. Yeah. So they were like openly making me nauseous and gag and stuff. And people were seeing that and they were like, I'd like gag and like keel over, and I could hear people be like, yes.
Isn't Survivor the best, Karishma? It's just like, hey, we can get our enemy out of the game if we make them starve.
I think it brings out the worst in people.
Yeah.
It really does. I think it brings out the worst in people. It brought out the worst in me. Like, I'm not going to sit here and like play some princess. No, it brought out the absolute worst in me. But it also brought out the worst in a lot of other people. There's a lot of mean girling going on. There was a lot of, elitist behavior going on. So fast forward to go back to what you were talking about. We get to that well where I found the idol, right? I get to the well. It's been some time. I only have 2 coconuts. Let me tell you why I only had 2 coconuts. I can't hold any more coconuts because I'm not wearing any underwear. So I can't hold them in my shirt because I have no way of holding anymore because usually you'd hold them and you'd go like this and you'd hold them in your shirt. Yeah. Because I'm not wearing any underwear. My underwear is wet and drying. Okay. So I don't like, even if I wanted to, I couldn't carry anymore. Yeah. I'm like, oh shit, I have to like act like I'm sick. I've been out for a long time. And when I said, hey, do you want me to get pulled from the game? It didn't come out of nowhere. It was because I had overheard a lot of conversation. And Missy, the day before, Missy had told me too, like, hey, Karishma, people are talking about you being medevac. Honey, you want to say hi?
Hi, Drew.
You remember Phil?
Hey, how you doing?
Hi.
What's up, Drew?
I remember Phil.
What's going on?
Hi, Alexa. How are you?
Hi. What's up?
Oh, not much. Just
refilling the wine. What up? I love 19 Crimes. That stuff is so good.
It is. Is it the crimes one?
Yeah.
Those are so good.
Which one is it?
The Punishment.
Oh, that's a good one.
Pinot Noir. It's a Pinot Noir.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
We have like a couple cases of
19 Crimes is so good.
Yeah,
I'm gonna put Drew on the spot right now and be like, Drew, you remember I'm coming to Houston.
What we talked about.
We did.
I think War Dog was with us.
I don't know if he was. I don't remember.
That's a group of 4 right there.
Somewhere with Adam Klein, I think.
Yeah. So when are you coming?
I don't know. That's what we got to figure out. I got to figure it out. I'm going to talk to Karishma either after or I'm going to be shooting texts. I'm going to figure it out because I told Carl and he got way too excited. So
perfect. Let us know because next month's rodeo will be perfect.
That's what you said. You said come for rodeo. So
exactly.
Yeah,
All right.
Awesome.
we'll have a good time. We'll have a good time for sure.
All
But
right.
yeah, this is my little bubble.
Well, so we get to the merge now. Now we have to go. We just had our happiness. That's over. Drew was
Let's
our
get
like
back to everybody.
ray of
else.
light.
No, listen, seriously. The man brought me wine.
No,
He's
I
a good
know.
guy. No, but
And
let's
now we're
get
gonna hit
back
the
to
merge, the
everybody
worst part of
trying
this
to kick you
season.
out of the game.
Yeah.
All right, so what are we talking about next?
Now we're gonna hit the merge, which is the worst
I'm
part.
not done yet. I'm not done the well.
Okay, you're not done.
I'm not done the well. So we get to the well, and I'm like, oh, I feel sick. Like, I don't feel good, blah, blah. And Laura and Nora just will not give up. Will not give up. Like, we're calling doctor on you. We're worried about you, blah, blah, blah. Here's the thing. When it's your friend or somebody you have some semblance of, like, even a slight friendship with, you take their advice. But Lauren and Nora were like the two people who I absolutely had zero relationship with at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So when they were like, we care about you, Karishma, we want the doctor to come for you, it was like, no, I don't think so.
Yeah.
So we're going back to camp and we're walking, and Lauren and Nora like bolt so they can get to the producer before I do.
And so they go to like tell on you pretty much.
Huh?
They're like, you should talk to her. Like they go to, wow.
They run the production. Tommy walks with me a little slower behind. I look at Tommy. I'm like, Tommy, do something. He's like, this is between y'all girls, not me. He knows the Tommy, right? He knew.
Well, that's what you get for waking him up.
So here's the important thing that happened. We get back to camp, and they didn't air it. And I was surprised they didn't air it, but we had a big fight at camp. Everybody was there. There was some screaming. There was some raising of voices. Where they were standing there, like Nora and Lauren versus Karishma. And what happened in that interaction was Missy joined it.
Mm-hmm.
Very emphatically. I'll use the word emphatically. She joined it very emphatically, eyes wide, fists up, very emphatically against me. And that led me to sort of doubt that we could ever work together in the future. Because you didn't have to. You didn't have nobody else. Everybody else was walked away, turned around. It was Lauren and Nora and Karishma screaming at each other. But Missy took it upon herself to join in. That was Missy's big mistake. I'm telling you, Missy's big mistake. But the second she did that, I made the decision that I was never going to work with this woman ever again, because she made the choice to yell and scream at me at camp, and she didn't have to do that.
Was this before or after the Karishma, listen to me, Karishma?
Yeah,
was that before or after?
Walking away.
Oh, it was before.
It was before.
Oh,
okay.
so this had been building.
Yeah, this is before, because that was the day she got voted out.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
That's true. All together.
Yeah.
That was, but like, here's the thing. Like, she's right. When Missy said, like, oh, Karishma and I had an alliance, we called it BOT, Bench of Trust. We found this like bamboo bench, and we used to sit on and talk. She used to tell me, Karishma, I'm going to hate you around camp. I'm not going to talk to you. Like, it's going to happen. Like, that was true. I told her very many times, I don't appreciate it. I don't think it's necessary.
Yeah, it probably wasn't. I can't imagine it helped.
I don't know. This was the game she chose to play. But at that point in time, I was like, nope, I don't want anything to do with you. I don't want anything to do with that type of drama. And that was the moment where I decided, like, look, if I get a chance to shoot at Missy, I'm taking it.
Yeah, and that worked. So then I forget how it actually goes, but then when I guess Elaine and or Tommy approaches you about it, you're just like,
well, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, and that was another thing. And it, I guess chronologically, it makes sense that we get to this point, which was that vote, the Missy vote, where it's up to me whether to vote with Missy and Elizabeth for Tommy or whether to vote with Tommy and Elaine for Missy. So we get back to camp. And before we go to the challenge, production tells us, if you have any idols, bring them with you. And the reason is because they know that if you are if you're the losing tribe or whatever, you're going to the other Lyro camp and then straight to tribal. So you're not going to have a chance to like dig up your idol or whatever.
Yeah.
And I kept my idol like a foot deep in the jungle, like hidden in the ground really well. So I had my idol in my bag, which I never had, but I had it in my bag. So we got back from that challenge. It was me, Elaine, Missy, Elizabeth, and Tommy. We got back from that challenge, and I hung my bag up just where everyone else hung up. And I thought to myself, all right, I'm going to go bury it again. I don't need it right now. I'm going to bury it and I'll grab it before we go to tribal council tonight, but I don't want to keep my bag. Before I had any chance to, Missy grabs me and says, we got to talk.
Mm-hmm.
And pulls me. And you guys might not know this also, but like camp is higher up than beach.
Yeah.
Like beach is like 15 steps down. So she grabs me and we go down the steps, down another 20 steps over down the beach. Like we're far from camp now. And she's just going on and on and on. Like, I want you to, Karishma, I have all the beads in my bag. My bag is in shelter number 2. Go in shelter number 2, make a fake idol, hide it. Tommy's going to find it. This, that, like all of this. And I'm thinking the whole time I'm not listening to her, oh my God, what if this is all a ruse for the 4 of them to just check my bag?
Mm-hmm.
Which is the right thing to do, right?
Yeah.
Get Karishma away from camp so we can check her shit.
Yeah.
Because we know production told us to bring our shit. And the whole time I thought Missy was actually pulling me down there. And the fact that she kept grabbing my arm, like it really offended me. It was like, no way. Y'all are trying to check if I have an idol. So when I walked away from her so brutally and suddenly, like it was not just because she was talking at me. It was also because I was paranoid about my idol.
Yeah. That makes sense.
But then they clearly ended up not.
They never took the bag.
Yeah.
Morons.
Yeah. So that's like a logistical question I've always had. So you have an idol and it sounds like you guys don't really know when you go on lockdown. So at what point are you like, okay, I need to get my idol so that I will definitely have it before lockdown, but not too early where people will creep in my bag?
So I hid my idol near where the med box is.
Mm-hmm.
During lockdown, you're allowed to go to the med box. So I hid it in a place where if during lockdown, I just excuse myself to go to the med box where you're only allowed to go one at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so I was about to say, is it like a squad of people there? Like, okay, that makes sense.
You're not allowed to go one. You're only allowed to go one at a time. They're very careful about that. Because you're not allowed to get on camera. And if you're talking game there, they don't catch it. So I hid my idol near the med box, but where nobody would ever find it. So if I had to grab it last minute, I could easily be like, oh my God, I forgot to take my prescription medication. I have to go. And I would just like, I'd be able to like dig it up. Yeah. I always had it like in my bra. Yeah.
Okay.
That time I had it in my bag because I didn't have time. Yeah.
Wow. That is shocking that no one checked your bag.
Honestly, they made a big mistake.
Yeah.
But it probably wouldn't have made a difference that night. It just would have been for the Elizabeth vote. They would have known, hey, let's not throw 6 votes on Karishma.
No, I think if they knew that I had an idol, they would have targeted me that night.
Instead of Missy. Yeah.
100%. 100% without a doubt. They would have worked, they would have flushed it. And it would have worked because I would have been tricked. Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess let's get to the episode where you end up playing this thing.
Let's do it. So that night, I thought to myself, 20% chance of being voted out. I have my idol in my bra. I'm going to listen around me and choose whether I want to use it or not. I decided not to use it. Now I have the next vote. What a shit show that next vote was, man.
Yeah.
I wanted to tell Elizabeth about it.
Mm-hmm.
I really wanted to tell Elizabeth about it. The problem was, if you watch the episode back and you look at Elizabeth's body language every time she's talking to me, it is very much like, no, please don't talk to me. Please go away.
Mm-hmm.
I am so poisonous by that point. There's no cure.
Mm-hmm.
There's no cure. I'm so poisonous. Throughout that day, I made so many attempts to see if I could tell Elizabeth, if I could tell Elaine, but it just never felt right. Mm-hmm. And I think back and I realized that's a mistake I made. Mm-hmm. Because even if it didn't feel right, I still should have told Elizabeth about it. I should have. She's right. I should have told her. And I still remember this conversation where her and Elizabeth were in the water, and I approached them, and I dug up my idol. I dug it up. I put it in my bra so I could go and show it to them. Mm-hmm. I go to them in the water, and we're talking in the water, and I'm feeling it out. Like, when is the right time for me to bring this up and bring up a plan? And I can't even tell you what it was, but one of them or both of them said something or did something. And it was like, Karishma, like we're throwing dirt on your grave. Like don't talk to the people who are throwing dirt on your grave, kind of thing. And I was so hurt by it, and I was so like, you know what? I'm alone. I can't tell anybody, because what they're going to do is they're going to flush it.
Yeah.
They're going to work on flushing it.
And so when you vote for Janet, it's actually Dan who ends up voting for Elizabeth to make sure that it's the revote and Elizabeth gets the votes. Were you hoping that your one vote for Janet was going to be enough to send Janet home?
What happened was I didn't know for sure that the votes were on me. I honestly, like, the MO is split the vote. You always split the vote.
Yeah.
So I had no idea the vote was going to be that was going to be unanimously. I had no idea. I thought to myself, what is a common denominator under every scenario that could possibly happen right now? What vote could possibly keep me still status quo? So I thought to myself, okay, well, Dan told me to vote for Janet. Also, I had already previously voted for Janet. So Janet didn't want to work with me.
Mm-hmm.
And also that day I presented the option of voting Dan out to Janet, and she ran. Dan told him.
Yeah.
So I knew as a fact, Janet and I were just never going to be working together in the game. That's
why did that happen though? Because you said earlier you and Janet were like, what changed between you and Janet?
I think Janet's whole crazy dramatic like arc that happened drew her really close. Like she was so close to Dan after it that it shocked me.
Yeah.
Because I was like a third party audience to everything that was happening. I'm not at liberty. I'm not going to even talk about it, but I was very shocked at how close Janet and Dan got, especially, and I was shocked after finding out that when I presented her, hey, Janet, like there's a way to get Dan out. You with me? And I found out she immediately bolted to Jan about it. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, you know what? This is somebody I'm never going to be able to work with. So if in fact it works out where it is all me and my vote sends somebody home, Janet's the right one. I can't beat her at the end. Number one. Number two, she's never working with me. What better two reasons are there to vote somebody out?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we all love her. I love her. I mean, I talk to her. I mean, she's one of my favorite people on the planet, but in the game, she's somebody I wanted to get out, and it was
you'd be stupid to sit next to her at the end,
for sure. And so I thought to myself, okay, what if it's not me? What if they are right and they are voting Elizabeth? At least I can go back to camp and say I did what I was supposed to do. Don't get mad at me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I wanted to have a common denominator, so I chose to do Janet. I didn't want Elizabeth to go home. I was very angry that Elizabeth voted for me in the first round out. I wanted Dan or Lauren to go home, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you wanted Dan or Lauren to
after Janet.
Oh, okay. That's what I was gonna say. I was like, okay, so you wanted Dan or Lauren to go, but if you were, okay, that makes sense.
I had to have Janet, but like if I had my own say, it would have been either Dan or Lauren.
Right. And so you like drop this bomb, and the jury is like loving it. And Missy, who you two, it seems like didn't have the best relationship on her way out, is like losing her mind over this. So do you walk out and you're like, hell yeah, I have some life again? Or are you like, oh crap, that was now I don't have another one of these?
The latter.
Yeah.
I was not high on myself. I realized that I bought myself a week.
Yeah.
And then I thought, well, now I need to figure out what's next. Because if you get too high on yourself, you lose sight of what's actually happening in front of you. And what's actually happening in front of me was like, okay, you know what? I was a target because people didn't like me. And now I'm a target because I can find idols. Like, how am I going to be able to repair that?
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, because then the next tribal actually comes down to you and Nora, which at this point it's like, well, everybody's looking at Karishma and Nora as the two goats that you want to sit next to. So it's funny that the two of you are both getting votes at Final 8, getting all the votes at Final 8. And so what was your plan coming out of that? I know you were saying you were already trying to think of something, but were you just thinking like, I'm stuck, there's no way I'm gonna be able to pull this? Or what?
I loved that day. That day that I didn't get, first of all, I got heat stroke that day. After that family challenge, I got heat stroke, which sucked. Okay. But when we got back to camp, Nora went on her crazy, like, I hate Dan. I hate Vokai rant. I loved that day because that was a day where we all went on an idol hunt together.
Mhm.
So me and Dean went together for like an hour or two. No, and then me and Nora went together for an hour. Me and Elaine went together for like an hour. And then me, Elaine, and Nora went together for an hour. And it was during the me, Elaine, Nora faction is when we actually found it.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a great day. It was during the idol hunts we were able to talk to each other and like have really meaningful conversations with each other. And I wholeheartedly felt that any disconnect that Dean and I had ever had before, we were able to mend it here today because both of our lives were on the line.
Yeah.
And that's how you come together, right? When you find two people who are the same level of desperation, you can find something to relate about. And finally, Dean and I could relate on something. I didn't know he had such a strong connection with Tommy. I didn't know about that. I knew that they had a lot of like side conversations with each other. I didn't know they had like such a strong alliance where Dean would like do what he did.
Yeah.
Nora was our wild card all day. And Dean came to me several times, like, Karishma, can we trust Nora? And I told Dean, I said, yes, we don't have a choice. We have to trust this woman who is like completely untrustworthy and has no idea how untrustworthy she is. We have to do it because this is our path to the end. And at that moment, I honestly wanted to take Dean to the end. Like my goal at that point was for me and Dean solid to the end, because I have to think, who can I beat? I can't beat everybody. I can't beat any people. I'm in a shit position. I thought to myself, I can beat Dean, I can beat Dan, I can beat Nora, and that's about it.
Yeah.
There's only 3 people I can beat. There's no one else left in the game I can beat. So I really, really, really believed that Dean was on my side, which is why at Final Tribal Council, I think there's a moment that they aired where I was screaming at him. I was actually screaming at him. I forgot there were even cameras. I screamed at him from the bottom of my heart. That's all I needed. I had to scream at him.
Yeah.
I believed you. When you said that it's you, I believed you, you asshole. I think he gave away. I think he gave away his win. I think
because of that vote, Tommy ends up staying in, and Tommy would have gone home, and then that's it.
And that was one of Tommy's big arguments.
But Dean, I thought I could have beat Dean, but now I know there's no way I could have beat Dean. Dean would have won.
Yeah.
He gave away his $1 million. Right.
Do you think he would have been able to get to the end had he not told? Like, if Tommy goes home there, is Dean fitting into anybody's final 3 plans? It sounds like he would have fit into yours because you thought you could beat him, but were a lot of people thinking, oh man, I just want to get Dean to the end because I can beat him?
I think Dean would have made it to the end for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think he would have been in every single person's plan.
And if his name comes up at all, he can play all the idols that he had and stuff. So wow, yeah, that Tommy vote really could have been it.
Like that in my opinion, looking back at it, that was when Dean lost the game. It was his game to lose, and he lost it. I didn't see it at that point, but he lost. That's where he lost it. And it is what it is. I mean, he feels as though had he not done that, he would have never made it to the final 3. Kudos to him. I mean, it's possible, right? Anything is possible. My perception is different. I think he would have made it to the final 3, and he would have won against anybody who was left, except Janet. Well, see, Janet and Lee would have gone. They would have gone. We would have gotten rid of them.
Yeah,
So,
because then it's easy to pick off Janet, and then it's easy. Yeah. And Lauren and all that. Wow. So that was really like the turning point of the game. Final 8.
I love Lauren. Like, we get along very well. We're great friends now. But knowing what I learned being at Ponderosa for 7 days before the finale, Lauren didn't have as much of a jury following as I think people might think she did.
Right.
We're gonna hear from her.
A lot of unfortunate like Lauren dissent going on, and it may have been due to just like because at Ponderosa it's a whole other like there's a game going on.
There's a whole other game there. Yeah.
There's a game going on at Ponderosa where the new person comes and they share all this stuff. And when I came, I poisoned Lauren a whole heck of a lot because when I left, like Lauren was my nemesis. So like. Not now, but like at that time, that's what it was. And I think a lot of people poisoned Lauren.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Lauren dissension going on. But at the end of the day, you never know. Like, what if there was like stuff in the game that she would bring up at Final Tribal and that would get her the votes? You never know.
Yeah. So I have a question. I know, do your thing. So I have a question about Ponderosa, but before we get there, from what it sounds like, none of you guys knew that Rob and Sandra are hanging out in the hot box during all these tribal councils. And so for Rob has like 2 really good quotes about you. I think the first tribal council, he's like, she's wicked smart. And then for this one, he says, like, all that just to vote out Karishma.
Yeah.
And I think that's what everyone was like, yes, like really? All that drama? So that must have been cool to watch him like narrate your game.
Well, here's the thing, like, if I am nothing else, if I am the worst Survivor player in the history of Survivor, I am self-aware. I am self-aware. I knew exactly how I was perceived. I knew exactly what was going on around me. And I knew exactly how my own behavior sort of contributed to it. Like, I was overly self-aware. I knew it. But I really, really felt like if I made it to Final Tribal, I would have stood up and given it my all, and it would have been quite a fucking show.
Yeah.
Because at some point, my game morphed into, you know what? Let these assholes consider me a goat and get me to the end. But let me put some notches in my belt. So when I stand up, because at Final Tribal, nobody stands up. I was planning to stand. I was going to stand up. This is what I do when I talk jury. I sort of walk around where they're sitting, and I walk through the whole courtroom. Like, it's my room. I was planning, I was going to stand up. I was going to make that my arena. And I was going to describe, look, these are the cards I was dealt, but let me explain to you how I played them.
Yeah.
Right?
I would have loved this. Oh, man.
And I was planning on doing that. That's what I do. It's like what I do for a living. It's what I would have been able to do. And even if I didn't win, I could have at least have put my all into it and shown a side of me that maybe these jurors had never seen before. And hey, you know what? Maybe enough of them would value it. That was my plan. But, it didn't work out.
Yeah.
That would have been awesome. I feel like someone in the chat is going to correct me, but I feel like you actually standing up, I think, is such a game changer. And I actually wonder if they don't let them. Okay, see, there we are. I don't even remember that because I don't remember One World. But I feel like I almost wonder if Jeff doesn't let you guys stand up, because I'm shocked that more people don't do it. And especially for you to kind kind of prowl around and own it. That would have been awesome.
And attorneys
it would have let me.
Yeah.
It seems like attorneys just don't get the final 3, so maybe that's why we don't see that ever.
Yeah.
Did you say what your job was?
No, I actually went with a lie that nobody ever caught on. I told everyone I was a mediator, which you can be without a law degree. And I work with a lot of mediators doing what I do, so I kind of could keep the lie going. Nobody questioned it. Nobody really cared. I think I had one mishap where I answered some we were playing a game, and I answered some question oh, this person in law school. I don't think I even picked up on it. But I was a mediator. Jason was an umbrella salesman.
Well, that's because that's what his wife does, right? Or something like that. Yeah.
I love that. I know. And for you and Jason to have never connected, that is such a missed opportunity. That would have been awesome.
Yeah, we get along really well. It would have been great. It would have been great to play with him.
Yeah.
So you get to Ponderosa, and I watched your video, and we saw a little bit of this, but you get there, and it seems like at that point, everyone, the tides turn on you, everyone likes you. Well, what do you think kind of changed once you got out of the game?
Well, couple of things. One thing I have to say is nothing changed. I maintain the fact that in the game, there was mob mentality going on, and that a decision was made to dislike Karishma, and anybody who interfered with that decision would be targeted.
Yeah.
And I maintain that. I know that a lot of people might disagree with me, but that's what was going on. Nothing significantly changed to the point where we hate her, but now we love her. No, I'm the same person. I'm the same goddamn person. You just in the game, I was poisonous. You couldn't be anywhere near me. You had to bond with other people by shitting on me. I get it. That a lot of people ask me this question, hey, what was your favorite moment of Survivor? What was your least favorite moment of Survivor? My least favorite moment was that sand challenge. For sure.
Yeah.
But I answered the question, what was my favorite moment? And gosh, I'm not going to cry, but it's such a significant moment for the rest of my life. Is we dock we dock at Ponderosa, and I'm in that boat. And I tell the cameraman, and I'm just like, I'm so embarrassed. And I'm like in tears. I'm like, I'm so embarrassed. Like, I don't think anybody's going to be there at the end of the dock to greet me. So can you please just cut it out of the video? Because it's so embarrassing. And he's like, look, he looked at me. He's like, look, it is possible that nobody's there. Because you're right. Like, people didn't like you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But I promise you, Jack will be there because Jack's our ambassador.
Mm-hmm.
If no one else, Jack will be there for you.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got off that boat, I expected nobody to be at the end of that dock. I expected maybe Jack, but I expected nobody. So when I got off that boat and I saw in the distance, I saw like a whole bunch of people there. I had no energy and I started running. I was running like as fast as my body could run. I was running because all I needed in that moment was one goddamn hug.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For 32 days in the game, nobody would hug me because I was poisonous.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think like you can see it, like I've watched that first moment so many times where like, even when they're hugging me, like I pull my arm around and grab their arm and put it closer to me.
Like, more.
That was my favorite part of the whole game, was the moment that I got to Ponderosa and they were actually there.
Yeah.
They were actually there. They treated me like I was worth nothing for 32 days. And then, it goes to show how important kindness is in this world.
Mm-hmm.
It goes to show how like fragile we are. Like, we can be incredibly successful and confident people, but the second we feel unloved, we become these like muted versions of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of clicked. I clicked as soon as I got that first hug. I felt rejuvenated. Like I felt like that was the first time I felt like me in 32 days. Was the second I gave that first hug.
That's great.
Incredible.
It was the greatest feeling I've ever had, was that first hug. Isn't that weird?
But it's better now because the Ponderosas, I mean, you go back to Gabon, Ponderosa, where like they won't even talk to people, and Charlie's like, I feel like I'm gonna get in trouble. There's so many times where it was just ugly. And it seems like people have learned it's just a game now. And like, even if you hate somebody, like it seems like you and Missy really butted heads at times, or whoever.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah. You just realize like it's a game. We're moving on. We're all going to be humans after this. We all had this experience where back then it was still so personal.
Yeah. No, you're right. And like every single person at that table, like I genuinely looked in their eyes and I'm like, we went through something incredible together. And in this moment right now, seeing color again for the first time after 32 days, like I value you. And let's and we stayed up. I remember I was so sleepy, but we stayed up like all night, all us girls in one cabin just talking, and it felt awesome.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah, that was my favorite moment in the game. And I'll tell you, like, yeah, it would have been awesome to make it to the end. I was playing to get to the end. I was playing to win. Absolutely. And I really do think I would have been able to shock that jury and maybe get a vote or two, maybe even win. Who knows? But I left at the right time. The way things turned out, I left at the right time.
I always say if I can't win, I want to go like mid-jury so I experience some of the merge. But if I'm not going to win, I want to still get Ponderosa, because Ponderosa is just a giant freaking party. And I want to be a part of that for at least a little bit.
Oh my God. I got there just in time because the next day we were taken to this awesome like 5-star resort.
Ooh.
And we got like, it's like, you guys have 5 hours, eat and drink all you want. You're at this crazy resort. And it was such a cool day. And it was the next day. It was like literally the day after I got there. And it was awesome. It was cool. I got to spend just like quality time with these people who I never, ever like truly got to know. And I got to, it was cool.
That's awesome.
Amazing.
I'm not thinking back. I'm like, yeah, you know what? My experience had a lot of flaws, and my experience had a lot of things that are, additional scars that you hold for the rest of your life, and trauma and this and that. But I left at the right time, and I'm able to think back on my experience and really smile about it. Yeah. And I voted for Tommy, and I'm proud I voted for Tommy. Dean, I love you. I'll see you tomorrow. You can punch me for saying this, but I'm proud I voted for Tommy.
Yeah.
Well, Tommy will defend you because Tommy's also going to.
He'll be there. 6 Gorgeous will be there.
Tommy can beat up Dean. That's all that's important.
Gorgeous is just too much.
Too much. It's okay though. Deanalicious will totally get it.
When you, oh my
this is
god,
awful.
when he said TS chillin', did you almost say screw it? I'm not voting
Did
for
you
him
like
anymore.
throw up?
What did he say?
He was like,
When he was like showing all his shit at Final Tribal.
Yeah, and then Tommy said, well, I'm TS chillin', and Dean was just like, no. Like, did you almost
Or like,
not
I'm
vote for
not
Tommy
TS.
because of that?
So that final vote, I cried at Final Tribal. They didn't show this. So like we took a little break before we were going to go up and do our final votes. And I broke down. I started crying. Kelly was the person I went to. And like I was hugging Kelly. I didn't know who to vote for. I had no idea whether I was going to vote for Dean or Tommy.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt awful that I could not decide whether to vote for Dean or Tommy. I didn't decide until I touched the pen.
Mm-hmm.
wow.
And it's like, and it felt good. The decision I made felt good. And I think my statement was like, I forget what my statement was, but the decision was like, this person made me feel good about myself.
Mm-hmm.
How crazy that's what it came down to. I didn't care about the challenges. I didn't care about immunities. I didn't care about the idols. I didn't care about the showmanship. Tommy made me feel better about myself than Dean did. And that's why Tommy got my vote. That's
crazy.
Even though he
That's
loved
crazy.
me, manipulated me, everything, he still, as a person, was somebody I wanted to vote for. So, I mean, hey, future Survivor players, it goes a long way.
Yeah, really does.
Lost Swag Man.
Oh my gosh, he left. That's weird. I was having a lot of internet issues, so I'm kind of shocked that he just did.
Okay.
Whatever. Well,
I just disappeared.
yeah, what the heck was that?
Yeah. I just vanished. My screen just reloaded. It was so bizarre. I'm just sitting here, and all of a sudden, it was just like the little spinny thing, and I'm like, "Where did I go?"
Like, bye.
Internet for you.
But I wanted to. So we talked about all of that, Karishma. You did have my favorite moment of the season, though, when you quoted Littlefinger, and so
oh my god.
yeah, that's like my favorite character from Game of Thrones. So
Wait, twice?
yeah, what was the second one?
The Nora vote. When I voted for Nora and I got voted out, I did it again. I was like, guys, I've said it before. I'll say it again. I think they aired it.
Oh, did they air it?
Yeah, they aired it.
Chaos to the ladder.
It's like I'm not sure how like trademarks work, but I am surprised that they aired it.
Yeah.
I did it a lot, guys.
Yeah, I loved it, but I'm shocked that they did it.
Game of Thrones a lot.
Yeah. I've watched it like 8 times. Don't
They
tell
probably
people.
paid HBO and they were like, we're about to have a quote machine about this. Like, this is worth the money.
Like,
I mean, here's the thing, though. What kind of a moron quotes Littlefinger? We know how he ended, right?
Yeah.
well, let's be honest.
I ended like the same way.
Chaos is a ladder.
This is my spoiler warning to everybody. So, you have 1, 2, 3, 4. When he went in Game of Thrones, that was the end of the show. The show was never recovered from losing him, and he was the greatest character.
You're
Yep,
right, 100%.
that was it. Because it didn't even make sense, Karishma. It didn't even make sense why he would die. That he was too smart. But anyway, spoilers are over.
Why didn't she just take his
they're not.
fucking face?
I know.
Hello.
And then we could actually have a storyline for Cersei in season 8.
We watched this little girl transform into. I can't even.
I know.
It's a whole other podcast. Sorry.
We could have had a whole season 8 with a Littlefinger and Cersei storyline.
Arya pretending to be little. I can't.
It's brutal, Karishma. It's brutal.
Letters. Like I'm just so upset.
I mean, look, season 8 wasn't the best. I liked some of the episodes, but then when Littlefinger was gone,
Yeah.
I was very excited when you quoted him because at the time when he does end up perishing, if you will, when that happens, I was working at the time and my supervisor was like, "Are you going to be okay? Like, there goes your favorite character." And everybody would always like make fun of me for loving Littlefinger because they love Arya and Sansa, and it's like, I'm not going to be okay, and you're not either. Once you continue watching the show and realize that there's nothing left to root against, like villains are great because they suck.
Littlefinger and Ramsay were my favorites.
Yeah.
I was rooting. I mean, not rooting for him, but like I was interested in the show because of his presence, right? He was such a multi-dimensional character. Like he had such a cool backstory of being in love with Stark. Oh, all of it. Anyway,
I know. And he was a Survivor player, essentially. He's essentially playing Survivor.
Exactly. So Game of Thrones, Survivor.
Same thing.
Right. I had this journal where I wrote a bunch of one-liners that I knew I wanted to say at trial.
That's good.
So like likability is a liability. I had that in my journal, made it. Chaos's ladder I had in my journal. I had another one. There are things to gain from this game that are worth more than $1 million. I think I said that, but didn't make the show, but that was a David Wright quote. Because for me, that's so important, right? That was my whole story. I was out there for money. I was out there for introspection. I was out there to learn things about myself. Hello, background of Swagman Phil.
I know, isn't that hilarious? She's just like coming out, and she doesn't think anybody's
What's up,
gonna
girlfriend?
Hello. So, yeah, I had a whole thing, and like I'm so proud that those two made it. Like I'm just like, how? I have no idea. And it was really cool because I think the cameramen were like noticing because I was quoting Cersei, I was quoting Tyrion, like I was doing it on purpose.
Yeah.
Gotta do it. Gotta get the airtime.
The cameraman would be like,
yeah.
As I'm walking out of tribal with my
Gold.
He'd be like, yeah.
I'm surprised more people don't do stuff like that though, because I feel like it almost always gets aired. We had Lacheserie, we had that. We have other moments that happen throughout the show where people will make these quotes, and it's like, and it instantly makes you, if you're a player on the show, and maybe this didn't happen for you until because it was already so late in the season, but it instantly makes you more likable to at least some of the audience, because I sit there and I'm like, Littlefinger.
Right? At the end of the day, like if you look at it, I guess it makes sense. And that was just by coincidence. I am trolling. Like I'm actively trying to get a Game of Thrones quote in there because it's my favorite show. I'm trying to get as many Game of Thrones quotes in there as possible.
If I ever
it too, like he knows what's happening. Jeff knows everything.
Yeah.
If I ever get on Survivor, I'm quoting Star Wars the whole time. Like,
just do it.
Oh my God. Yeah. Like I want someone to be like, to say like, Alexa, I love you. And I'm like, I know. And just like, let that go and no one will notice. Like, I'm totally with you. I love it.
Just some fun stuff, right? The game's evolved to this point.
Yeah. It's Lochy, get out of here. Star Wars doesn't suck.
Well, it does now. He's probably only watched the last
I would
two.
quote 4, 5, and 6.
I have a question for you too, which is going to come up in, I guess, like a future podcast you'll do in the next week or two. But who is your winner pick for 40?
Oh, great transition.
There we go. We were going to ask you anyway. Have you met anybody from 40, Karishma?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm very good friends with Wendell.
Okay.
Who I can tell you, like, is just a very, very, like, good guy.
He's been on before.
Yeah, we like him.
He's a good guy. So I'm friends with Wendell. I've met Adam.
Yep.
I've met
Rob and Sandra. Have you ever interacted with them?
Yes, Rob and Sandra. Both. Sandra's a friend. I consider Sandra a friend of mine. If I ever need it, like, let me tell you something about Sandra. Queen Sandra. You may think this woman is like on a throne with a crown, like she's up there above everyone else. But I, honest to God, feel like if I ever need Sandra, if I ever need her, I give it 30 seconds and she'll be there. Yeah.
That's what seems so cool about her, because she, like, we've never talked to her and I've never met her, but she has this awesome front of like, I'm the queen, I'm hot shit, like I got my tiara, but just genuinely seems like an amazing person.
Yeah. And even when I met her.
She is. Yeah.
Yeah. I got to meet her at the finale. My favorite though was I was talking to her and she goes, well, you going to take a picture or no, you might not get another chance. And I was like, all right, Sandra, get over here.
Please, queen.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she's great like that. Because like, so I'll tell you, to be honest, like that night when the Sand Challenge aired, that was a really tough night for me. I didn't sleep. I went straight to work the next morning. But Sandra talked to me for hours that night. Hours that night. And not many people would do that, right? And even aside from that, she's just such a down-to-earth, cool woman. Like you would never think that she has like this 2-time winner notoriety. Like she's just a very relatable, awesome human being. I really, really like her. So, you know, I hate to say it, but I can't, like if I'm a betting woman, I can't bet for Sandra to win.
So much trouble.
I don't think anybody can bet for Sandra to win because like she's already won twice. Like she's the person you want. She's the person you want out. So but if I was gonna bet, I mean, not bet. I'm not gonna say bet. So you
and Carl definitely have a bet.
Yeah, y'all. Yeah.
Yeah,
so
I know.
We're hanging out. What, in 2 weeks? I think we're gonna see each other. Like we're doing a watch party in Houston.
Oh, nice.
I'm really excited. Yeah. So me, Carl. Okay, I'm gonna say it now. I'm probably getting in trouble for saying this, but I'm just gonna say it.
Love it.
Rumor has it Russell Hantz is coming.
Whoa.
Rumor has it.
You are going to get in trouble for that.
Yeah, exactly. And Karishma is never allowed to play Survivor again. And
I have so many questions, but we can ask that offline.
Also a cool cat, right? Like he's also, down to earth, like a cool cat. Like, come watch the premiere. We'll hang out. We'll troll and everyone together. It's not a big deal. And then Cliff from Big Brother is going to come.
I might need to fly down to Houston for that. That is going to be wild.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so Wendell, I'm rooting for Wendell because I really like him. He's a friend. I've met Adam.
Who are you betting on, though?
Yeah, who's going to win?
Okay, so
because I have like a want list and a likely list.
I need a woman to win.
Michelle.
Yeah. I need a woman to win.
Michelle.
I'm rooting for Natalie.
Oh yeah, love Natalie.
Natalie's who I'm rooting for.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm going to be honest, I think if a woman wins, it's going to be an under the radar woman, maybe like a Sophie out of nowhere type of a woman. But I hate to say it, like, why do men have the upper hand on Survivor? Why?
And I think what's interesting is people always think like, oh, the fire making challenge favors men. I don't think that's true at all. I think that
the aggressive. It doesn't favor men.
No, it does not favor men. You watch, Lauren was right there with Dean. Yeah. She was right there. So it does not.
Yeah, I think people make the incorrect jump of, I think they make the correct jump of it favors the aggressive. Mm-hmm. And then people then jump again and say, and men play aggressively. So then kind of skip that and say, well, it favors men.
Yeah. And we've seen men win it like over and over again. So I understand where that comes from. But while Edge of Extinction does actually favor the men, I believe, the fire making challenge does not. That's not something that was put in place so that men would win. It just happens to be that's who ends up making the fire and winning.
Oh, it's just infuriating to me. The last how many seasons? Maybe 4 or 5 seasons? It's been
34 and 32 are the only seasons in the past 5 years that have had a woman winner.
Yeah.
It just infuriates me that it's been like 2 men and then like the woman who's like the GOAT, like that's not. No.
Who are you referring to? Oh, you mean like
36 was like Laurel, and then
yeah. No, you mean
Julie,
and then 38 like Julie. Like they're
and
not
Nora, yeah.
They're not, but they're the 0 vote winners or the 0 vote losers, and it just makes me very, very upset because these women play such fierce games and then their own games, and they're just as credible as the men's games. But for some reason, when it comes down to that last final 5. The women's games are just not found as credible as the men's games. So that's what I'm hoping for 40. I'm really, really hoping, if anything, there can be like 2 women and a man GOAT. Let me tell you.
That'd be great. And we haven't seen that since Heroes versus Villains, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be so amazing. That would be like literally the greatest thing to ever happen to TV. Like it would make me so happy.
Actually, no, the last time it happened was Co-Wrong.
Yeah,
you're right.
Yeah, that was the last time it happened because Brad Culpepper wasn't a GOAT.
Right?
Michelle, Aubrey, and Ty got no votes.
Ty got no votes. That's true. So it wasn't that long ago, but still, I mean,
that's 8 seasons.
There needs to be a shift.
It's a long, the fact 32 was 8 seasons ago. That's insane.
Yeah. Hey, listen, Michelle could take it all.
I think she could.
Say it again.
You say under the radar.
I couldn't hear you.
She could run it. Same. I think Natalie. God, I love Natalie, man.
Yeah, she's fun.
Yeah.
Natalie did something for us, like brown women, man. She really put us on that map.
She's a badass.
Yeah, she put us on that map. She gave us that like person who looks like me on TV. It's not fake. I'm telling you, it's not fake. Like when you see somebody who looks like you on TV, it really does something. It really makes a difference. Yeah. So Natalie did that for me way back in 29. And that was really important. So the more people who do that, the more impact you can make. So I'm rooting for, I guess if I had to pick one man and one woman, I'm rooting for Wendell and Natalie. Those are my 2. What about y'all?
Okay, rooting. I'm with, if I could do guy and a gal, Wendell and Denise. And I freaking love Denise. And I haven't watched Philippines in a while, but I don't think they made her, like showed her to be as goofy as she actually is. Like she's a huge goofball. And I think on this season where everyone is just going to be like murdering each other, they're not really going to think about her so much. Mm-hmm. And So both of them are both like I want them, and I think they could take it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I love like Yul and Parvati. Like Yul and Parvati bring back like 13-year-old Alexa watching with her parents, and so there's just like so much nostalgia to them.
Yul brings back memories of like starting to watch a show and seeing somebody who was so methodical. Because I love logical. I love methodical people. I love people who don't get overcome with emotion. And Yul was just like that for me. Unfortunately, I think Parvati is just
she's in trouble.
Which is a shame because I cannot wait to watch Parvati play again because it's been 10 years.
I actually, from what I haven't really dove into the pregame stuff that much. It actually sounds like a lot of people want to hide behind Parvati. And it seems like Kim is the number one target, which is crazy.
That's weird.
Yeah. I think with those one-time winners, if you're a one-time winner and you absolutely dominated the way that Kim did, like no one's ever seen Kim be bad at anything.
Yeah.
So
and I think even me, if you look at like my pregame, like CBS.com little interview thing, they have the whole question like, who do you want to play like? My answer was Kim.
Oh yeah, everyone wants to play like Kim. She's amazing.
I want to play like Kim. You know what I mean? Kim dominated. She's a fierce woman. But this is why I think the person that people are not saying is the one who's going to win.
Yeah.
I feel like people are not talking about Sophie. Like no one's talking about
That's why I said Sophie's name. A lot of people are saying Wendell. Wendell's got that recency. People are going to remember. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be with him. Tony, Tony.
Yeah.
Everyone has like a
is Amber going to pull it out? Like what are we?
Amber and Rob are going to be like 1-2 punch, you know?
But do you think, let's say Rob goes home 19th place, does Amber have some legs?
Yeah.
Because I think that's the case, yes. But if you flip it and Amber gets voted out, Rob's still in trouble.
Absolutely. Agree. I think Amber may have legs because she doesn't have the notoriety.
Yeah.
I think Amber could still have legs, but I think people would still just connect her with Rob too much.
Yeah. And it's like, I mean, I think, and now it's like $2 million, which is a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I was reading I think it's the Gordon Holmes interviews, the Xfinity ones. He always puts like editor's note. This interview is conducted across the beach from the heads. And I was like, the disrespect that you are giving these winners, making them stare at those is wild.
Yeah.
Like, why would you do that? That doesn't make any sense. It seems like it's interfering with the game. I don't get it.
And are they still there? Like, is season 41 going to go out? And like,
they haven't seen season 49 yet, so they have no idea what the fuck these like.
So funny.
That looks like Raw, but I guess it could also be Jeff. Like, I don't know whose head that is.
Yeah.
What is that?
I love that. I love that. Good. Well, season 40 is certainly going to be fun, and I'm looking forward to it very much. I'm so excited. We're going to have you come back on and do a power rankings with us during season 40.
Please. February 12th, we're doing a watch party. It's going to be me, Carl, and Cliff from Big Brother for sure. Possible sighting of you know who will not be named.
He will not be named.
Russell Hantz. It's Russell Hantz.
Voldemort.
I think he's going to come. Because he's a good person. I think he's going to come and hang out. It's at Pub Fiction, downtown Houston. We're going to have a great time. We had a great time last time. We're going to have a great time this time. And we're going to do a watch party. I mean, you know what sucks? Let me tell you what sucks. My cast, we got like 6 of them in LA. We got like 6 of them on the East Coast. And then I'm in bumblefuck Houston.
They're in like a middle.
It's like middle of nowhere, Kentucky. And we're just like, what the holy shit? Like they all get together and do all their sorts of like crazy stuff and fun stuff. We're just stuck.
Yeah.
But you know what? I got Carl, so it's worth it.
That's it. That's all you need. And Carl will always have a good time, so it doesn't matter.
Carl's awesome.
Best.
Yeah.
I love Carl so much.
Well, make sure he comes out here for 40 during the finale because I want to hang out with Carl again.
So me and him will probably come together.
There you go. That's all I needed to hear. That's how I want to end the podcast. Do you have anything else you want to add in here? Because I want to end it knowing that Carl and Karishma are both coming out.
That's the best way.
The best way.
Possibly end. Also, with one more shot at my second pint glass.
There we go.
Hey.
We're getting somewhere now.
Drew, say bye. Come here, honey. Say bye.
Yeah, and bye.
He's like, "Are you done your second bottle of wine yet?"
Nice. Hey guys.
See you later.
Nice
Sorry
Texan-
about
nice Texan shirt.
yeah. Sorry about the 24-0 game.
That was
Yeah.
pretty good.
Say sorry about those Astros too.
Oh no, it rains and pours, so it's okay.
Yeah.
We were talking about Game of Thrones, so I kind of want to end with a quote too.
Let's
Let's hear it.
Fear cuts deeper than swords.
There you go.
Ooh.
Who's
That sounds like a Boston Rob quote. That's like evil.
Fear cuts deeper than swords. Is that Tyrion?
Arya.
Arya. Yep.
Mm.
So he's obsessed with Arya. It's the creepiest thing in the world. Like, why are you so obsessed with Arya, bro? I don't get it.
It's like there was the Arya and Gendry sex scene, and everyone was like, "I don't want this, but I do, but I don't."
No, yeah.
It was a Stark thing, so
He loves all the
It's a
Starks.
Stark thing.
He's obsessed with the Starks.
The Lannisters are the only family that mattered. I'm just saying.
Bracelet makes me wear it, like as if
Oh my god, that's unreal.
very weird. Listen, you guys are the best.
You are the best.
Thank you.
This was so fun. Yes, thank you.
You're the best.
Yeah, Alexa.
Yeah.
Alexa's trying to spin
No,
it back
you're
to you. I'm
so
like, no,
great.
thanks.
You guys
I am.
have the best commentary in the game. You guys, honestly, like you read, having been in it and now being on the outside and listening to y'all, like I can honestly say, I listened to y'all's commentary on 38 and I realized like, hey, you know what? Like out of everyone else, y'all had it right.
Hell
I
yeah.
appreciate that. Well, we gotta somehow find a way to just keep blowing us up because we had a really good December. We had a really good January. I feel like we're gonna have a really good season. We just gotta find a way. We keep trying to get all of you on our side, so
Yeah.
that's
I
it.
think
We just stuck up to you guys.
I think you have us on your side, and you guys just keep doing what you're doing, man. Talent will be recognized for sure.
I hope so.
All right, now that's how I want to end it.
Yeah, that's how I want to end it. And she was talking about me, so I'll just give Alexa the boot here. And thank you, Karishma.
Bye, guys.
You just switched it so that I couldn't be in the number one position.
I want you to end it the way we always end it. Go ahead.
Okay, so we are going to be joined this Sunday morning for our final season 39 tell-all with allegedly Karishma's nemesis, Lauren Ashley Beck. Super excited.
Shots fired, Lauren. Shots fired.
Yeah, and Lauren's going to be our final commentary. So whatever she says goes at this point.
Awesome.
We're the most excited for her. So it's going to be at 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern time. Stay tuned for a potential Applebee's hangout tomorrow night. Karishma, go to Kentucky.
We will.
Yeah.
So Drew and Elaine's fiance Tanya are very good friends. I mean,
There you go.
I mean, I love them. I love them with all my heart. I do.
Drew's melded in with this cast pretty well.
Seriously.
Well, I'm waiting for Bill and Alex to come to Houston.
Alexa, her name's Alexa.
You're close. I was in Houston.
Alexa.
Bill and Alexa to come to Houston.
So I was in Houston for the World Series, and I was with Carl.
You got him tickets and not us.
Yeah.
I know. Let me correct this. I gave Carl 2 tickets, and I said, bring whoever you want. And he brought his friend, whose name I forget.
Yeah, Drew was not happy about that. Drew wanted to be that friend.
Man, I know. It would have been awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, well, the Astros are most definitely not going to be in the postseason this year. So
Yeah.
If I end up back in Houston, I'll text you guys.
Yeah, Houston's not so good in the press.
A little awkward talking about Houston right
Well,
now. Taco right
We're
now.
called the Houston Asterisks right now. We got asterisks on every.
I love that.
I
I
like
love
that.
that. That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
I was at the game. I was at the Altuve "Don't Take My Shirt Off" game, which now is very weird.
That's like the
Hold on,
infamous
his
game.
wife didn't want him to be.
Oh, that's such.
Let me say this. We'll talk. I got to end this before 2 hours. Otherwise, it makes my life hell. So I'm going
Follow
to
us
hit
on
end, but we're going to keep
social
talking
media.
about Houston.
Okay, follow us on social media. Goodbye, everyone.
All right, take care.
You stay on, guys.